Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the AM Report for Haps News, the network of now. I'm Alex Mahajer, and it is Wednesday, December 30th. On this morning's program, former gubernatorial candidate from Georgia, Stacey Abrams, is just blasting Republicans David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, calling them feckless hypocrites and really taking them to task over their position on $2,000 coronavirus relief direct aid payments to Americans, which Mitch McConnell single-handedly blocked in the Senate yesterday after Democrats attempted to pass this by unanimous consent. We're going to talk about the Georgia races. We're going to talk about Mitch McConnell's obstructionism and all of today's top headlines this morning on the AM Report. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. I'm Alex Mahajer. Welcome to the AM Report for Haps News. If you're watching on the Haps app, website, platform, click the award button. Let us know you're enjoying it. Or if you're watching on Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, or anywhere you might be watching, leave me a comment and let us know what you're thinking. We'll bat around live on air. A lot of people joining already this morning. Good morning to everybody who's watching at home, and thank you so much for joining. And this morning, we've got a lot of headlines to cover, so let's just jump right into them. Congressman-elect Luke Letlow from Louisiana has died, 41 years old, from complications with coronavirus, COVID-19. He did not have any underlying health conditions, and he was receiving remdesivir treatments. He leaves behind a wife and 2 small children, and he has been photographed recently at events not wearing a mask. So it's tragic, and it's also surprising because he doesn't appear to have any comorbidities, and he doesn't appear to have died from anything except just the virus itself. He received the same remdesivir treatment that people like Donald Trump received, although I know Trump received a cocktail of progressive experimental medicines. Luke Letlow, incoming GOP congressman, has passed away. It turns out we won Georgia. Democrats won Georgia again. An audit of the vote in Georgia has revealed that there were no issues with ballot matching signatures. The Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says a ballot signature match audit in Cobb County found, quote, no fraudulent absentee ballots, and confirmed the, quote, original outcome of the general election November 3rd. I'll also note that Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State and Republican and Trump loyalist, by the way, is cracking down on something called line warming. So this is when people bring food or items to people who are waiting in line during elections in Georgia to keep them fed or keep them warm or keep them comfortable. And it's not really a partisan act. It's given to anybody who's in line, regardless of their party affiliation. Brad Raffensperger is saying this is electioneering, and he's cracking down on it because anything to suppress the vote in Georgia. Am I right, Brad? And he knows how increased voter access turned out for his party in November. So we're keeping an eye on Georgia. Democrats are very hopeful in Georgia right now, and that's because early voting numbers there are very strong. They're breaking records, in fact. As of yesterday, more than 2.3 million Georgians have voted, and Democratic voters are overperforming the numbers that they are expecting, particularly with African-American voters, and early voting ends this week. African-American voters have turned out in larger numbers than they did November 3rd. And we know that Black voters delivered Georgia for Joe Biden. So we'll see what happens. But what we do know is all eyes are on Georgia. And Stacey Abrams, former gubernatorial candidate, who many say was robbed of her governorship because of voter suppression tactics in Georgia. She appeared on air yesterday to discuss these $2,000 direct aid payments. Now, here's what's up. The Congress passed a $600 stimulus check bill last week. Okay. Democrats wanted more money. Trump comes out after the bill is passed and says, this is not enough. We should give everyone $2,000. Democrats immediately agreed. So Trump signs the bill on Sunday, late, but he signs it. Democrats pass a bill in the House expanding direct aid payments to $2,000. So call his bluff. They send that bill to the Senate. And yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell single-handedly blocked that expansion of direct aid payments. And before we get into Stacey Abrams just tearing the GOP to threads this morning, here's Mitch McConnell blocking the bill that would that Democrats brought in the Senate, Chuck Schumer brought in the Senate, by what's something called unanimous consent, which means we don't need to debate this. Let's just do this now and pass $2,000 checks for Americans. Here's McConnell blocking that attempt yesterday on the Senate floor.
Would the senator modify his request to include a unanimous consent request that to include unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 9051, a bill received from the House to increase recovery rebate amounts to $2,000 per individual, that the bill be read a third time and passed, the motion to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection to the modification?
Object.
Objection is heard.
So, Madam President, would the senator modify his request that immediately following the vote on the veto override, the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 9051, that the bill be considered read a third time and the Senate vote on passage of the bill without intervening action or debate. Further, that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table.
Is there objection to the request for modification?
Object.
Objection is heard. Is there objection to the original?
He objects. That's it. Mitch McConnell, one word, I object. No reasoning, no logic, nothing public about it until a little later. But he objects, Mitch McConnell, single-handedly. So Democrats in the House of Representatives pass it. The president says he will sign it. Okay, President Trump, who's who's amongst the most feckless presidents, and House Democrats have agreed on this. This goes to the Senate, and Mitch McConnell, with one word, kills $2,000 checks. And to me, that's outrageous, right? He kills the checks. Democrats tried to expand direct aid payments, and he blocks it with just one word. And this is really interesting to me because Georgia is on everybody's minds, and there are two Republicans, one of them an appointed senator, incumbents right now who are in very tight races and may lose their seats. And Georgians need direct aid. They need relief. And these senators have spoken out against direct aid payments, unemployment benefits. In the past, they've taken positions against it. Here's David Perdue talking about this issue earlier this year.
I think incenting people right now through payroll tax is one way to do it. And I do support that, actually. I support that better than giving just a direct payment like we did in the first round of CARES. I really oppose that because we didn't see the impact back in 11 and 12 when that was done.
He's on record. He does not support direct aid payments. Now, McConnell blocks the bill, so people aren't getting it. And he gives Loeffler and Perdue cover to backpedal and backtrack on what they've previously said and say, well, I support $2,000 checks for all Georgians because they know that that's what Georgians need. But McConnell's blocked it. So they've got cover to say whatever they want. It's really, the hypocrisy is insane. And to make sure that it doesn't happen, Mitch McConnell has tied he's introduced new legislation in the Senate saying, yeah, you can get your $2,000 checks, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 poison pills to it that will make it impossible to pass. One of them is to make sure that in order to get your $2,000 checks, we need to establish a commission to study voter fraud in the 2020 election. And then we need to repeal online liability protections for Twitter so that Trump can settle his grudge match with Twitter. That's the only way you're going to get your $2,000 checks. And so your $2,000 checks will also come at an enormous cost to you, the taxpayer, to establish a bogus voter fraud commission to study bogus allegations of voter fraud. The hypocrisy is endless. And Stacey Abrams, this was really the crown jewel of today's program, so I hope you're all buckled up and ready. She's not mincing words. Here's Stacey Abrams about Perdue and Loeffler and their hypocrisy and backpedaling on this issue of direct aid payments.
So, Stacey, do they just not know the position that they took, or do they have no position? What's going on here with the 2 current representatives in the Senate from the state of Georgia?
They are feckless hypocrites who would rather win an election than help the people of Georgia and do their jobs. These are 2 people who have stood by, used the pandemic to profiteer, used the pandemic as an excuse for inaction. They have assailed the very core issues that people need. You need unemployment insurance because your job is no longer there. You need that $2,000 direct payment because your mortgage is still owed even though you cannot go to work. What they have done is signal very clearly to Georgians and to Americans that they have no positions. They are spineless, and they are people who kowtow to Mitch McConnell, kowtow to Donald Trump, which means they will not serve the people of Georgia.
There she is. All hail Stacey Abrams, who I'll note is running for governor, I hear. The rumor has it. She's running for governor in Georgia in 2022. A lot of comments chiming in. Helen says, wow, so blackmail, essentially. Yeah, it's political blackmail, and it's poison, and it's theater, and it's playing with people's well-being. Someone is asking, can you please tell me why the Trump transition team isn't working with the incoming Biden team? Do you feel like this is a possible signal of Trump inserting a block of transfer of power? I don't think so. I think more likely than not, it is just Trump being a childish, difficult person. And and as I understand it, this intransigence, this difficulty is happening with the Department of Defense. And so it's possible that he just doesn't want to give Biden any breathing room to have and trying to make it difficult just to be difficult, the way people are scorched earth when they are petulant children. I think that's what the president is. He's a very petulant child who doesn't want to ever appear to be a loser, because narcissists don't like to lose. Helen says, I'm glad you're explaining your system works. I'm from Scotland. The UK Parliament is different. Indeed, this is our system. Needs some reforms, but it's the system we have. Nobody should like Mitch. He is just out to damage the American political system, says Reddit user. Pot, meat kettle. I don't know what you mean by that, sir. Good morning to Heavenly from Dallas. Good to see you all this morning. Thank you all for joining this morning on the AM Report for HAPS News, the network of now. We are live every weekday morning with all of your quick political news and headlines to get your day started right. If you like this content, if you like this journalism, please consider sponsoring it. You can visit me at haps.tv/@Alex, and you can buy me a cup of coffee or subscribe to this content. You'll get a notification every morning. We will be back tomorrow morning discussing the Georgia Senate runoff elections that are coming up. And we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great hump day.